Welcome back. 'Tis the season of love, and we are discussing the topic of love. The reference is from C.S. Lewis's The Four Loves, and in the previous videos, we'd spoken about storge or affection and philia, which is friendship. In this video, we will speak about eros. It's a Greek word, and loosely translated, it means a state of being in love. Now, when we hear the word erotic love, it is often equated to sexual love, which is why Lewis says that it is often misunderstood to be animal-like, which is not the case. Eros is a preoccupation with the beloved, a preoccupation with the other in their totality. This is typically what happens when one falls in love. Now, I want you to remember when you were first drawn to your significant other, to your spouse. Was it a single aspect that attracted you to the other? Or was it a combination of different facets of the other's personality? Perhaps it was the physicality, the fact that the other was good looking. But most certainly, it would have been qualities as well. Maybe he had the ability to be extremely vulnerable. Maybe she was very caring, the affective dimension. Perhaps the other was well-formed intellectually and had a strong will, the personal dimension. And for some others, it may have been the religious dimension, the fact that the other was well-grounded in their faith. So you see, it's a combination of different aspects that makes a person unique, which is why eros is concerned with a particular person. Sex, or the sexual element, is activated at a much later stage, says Lewis. This is also why eros is not a need love. Rather, it's a deeply appreciative love. There is no denying the fact that eros is the king of pleasures, but the focus is not on the pleasure itself. The focus is on the beloved. And the pleasure or the feeling of elation is a mere byproduct or consequence of being with the beloved. Eros is also not a calculated giving, as in one does not give so that one can receive. So when you hear someone say, I'm going to take this girl out to this really fancy French restaurant. I know she loves this place and I know she loves French cuisine. And so this is surely going to sweep her off her feet. Is this eros? Most certainly not, because the focus is not the other. The focus is on oneself. And the question is, what am I going to gain from this? So from the above discussion, it is clear that eros is not just about sexual activity. It includes a whole lot of other aspects. But when eros is reduced to the bodily dimension alone, when sexual activity is engaged in without commitment, without love, what is referred to in common parlance as casual sex or lust is a topic for a different series. Now, coming back to eros, eros finds its proper place in marriage. But why? Let's refer back to the definition. It is a state of being in love, not a feeling, not an emotion. Which is why Lewis says that eros has the intention and promise of lifelong fidelity. This is not to say that the permanence of eros is built in naturally, which is why you'll find certain people flitting in and out of relationships, hoping that the next relationship is going to be their true love, only to be disillusioned and to move on to the next. Eros is closest to God in resemblance. And you may ask why, because this was something we spoke about in Storge as well. Think of the mother who stays up all night to nurse her sick child back to health. It's a love that's sacrificial, it's enduring. But true marital love between spouses is one that has a relentless hope in and for the other. It is ever willing to forgive. It is also sacrificial to the point of being able and willing to sacrifice oneself for the well-being of the other. And here's the difference. Storge or affection is biological, while eros is not. That is why it is closest to God in resemblance. But this is precisely where the danger of eros lies. Because it is a transcendent love, and the most transcendent among all natural loves, and can reflect the love of God Himself, the voice of eros can sound like the voice of God Himself. Now, what does this mean? It means that when spouses honor eros without reservation and give obedience to it unconditionally, it becomes an idol and demands worship. This is why Lewis states that lovers or spouses will justify any action, any cruelty, any injustice in the name of love. It is love, they say, that what made us leave our partners. It is love that made us neglect our parents, to fail our friends. It is love that makes siblings not care about their siblings. This is a form of violence. This is the danger of eros. But it's the milder form of violence, because the partner or the spouse becomes an idol. The more extreme form of violence, which is what Lewis refers to, is the idolization of love itself. It is when eros becomes an idol, when one is in love with the concept of love. Why is it an extreme form? It is an extreme form because in the name of love, divorces will be justified. Because the partner will cite the reason of not being in love and moving from one relationship to the next to the next. Now, I have to interject at this point and confess that I have been guilty of the minor form of violence. Now, as I'd mentioned in my previous video about my marriage, there was a time when Jacob had become the center of my life. When he'd become the idol, his happiness was mine, and when he was miserable, I was even more miserable. This is quite common in marriage, but the more extreme form is also something I have experienced up close. And the burgeoning divorce cases are a result of this. Ask most people who want to get out of their marriages, and the most commonly cited reason will be, I'm not in love with her anymore. I found someone else, only to move from one to the next to the next. Now, there can be several reasons as to why people choose to flit in and out of relationships or to idolize love. Psychologists would attribute it to the fact that such people were not affirmed in their childhood, what is referred to as emotional deprivation disorder. Such people may lack self-worth and may choose to fill that void in and through different partners. Now, whatever the reason may be, this is the danger of Eros. True Eros is a sacrificing love. It is willing to endure. It is sacrificial to the point of not even considering one's own happiness. But an untamed Eros, as C.S. Lewis says, is the most selfish of all loves. And that's the danger. So I hope this helped to explain what Eros is and to probably remove any misunderstandings. So the next time you hear the word erotic love, I hope you will understand that this is not just about sex. So the next video we will discuss agape or charity. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.